Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Hold on, let me close this damn blind. Too much light coming in the room. But so Terence, Crawford, and Tszyu. Now you remember we were talking about, different possibilities for Terence Crawford, for Tszyu. And because of how Tszyu performed against Cockroach Man Sebastian Fundora, a lot of people believed that Tszyu, at a minimum, deserved a rematch with Fundora. But then you take a look at, what's up, come here.
Yes, Mom?
Yeah, I'm doing a video. I'll talk to her later, right? Yeah. But anyway, man, you know how it is with family. But it was like there's going to be some options for Tszyu. But, he had to let the injury on his head heal up. Fundora looks like he's going to be out for a while because Tszyu, savagely broke his nose, which is unfortunate for Fundora, but it just lets you know the direction the fight was going before Tszyu got injured. But anyway, when we were talking, I was saying, this is going to go a couple directions because the sanctioning bodies, if you look at what happened over the last couple of years, in particular in the 147-pound division, there was a bottleneck, and Errol Spence and Terence Crawford created that by not being able to reach an agreement, and the two of them together, had all four belts. So you look at what could have possibly happened at 154 with Tszyu having lost but being out, but Fundora being out to the end of the year with two of those belts. Crawford activating his mandatory status for the WBO. Errol Spence wanting to get a shot at titles at 154 pounds. When you took a look at that, it's like I can't see the sanctioning bodies being okay with basically repeating the same pattern that happened with Errol Spence and Crawford at 147. So what I said I thought would happen would be Fundora would be forced to vacate the WBO title and become champion in recess, and then Errol Spence and Fundora may fight for the WBC strap. Now, there were some people who agree with me. Other people couldn't see the vision. I even had one person insult me, tried to insult me because I really don't give a damn what you say. Like, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. That's why you don't even have 10,000 subscribers. And it's like, well, I got more than 1,000. But anyway, exactly what I predicted, which is what we do on this channel. We speculate, we assume, we make predictions, right? That's exactly what seems to be happening. It looks like Fundora is going to be forced to vacate the WBO strap. The WBO president is on board with that. That's what he wants. Word is, according to the Boxing Voice, they came out and said it, and I was like, that's the exact same thing I was saying would probably happen. But anyway, a much larger channel is saying the same thing that I was saying. But they, of course, have more of a pulse on what these presidents and these commissions and the managers and promoters, they have more of a pulse on that than me. They're much closer to the source. So anyway, what it looks like is what we said. Crawford and Tszyu could be fighting for the vacated WBO strap. The uniqueness of this, right, is like I was saying, Crawford's going to be heading to Saudi. It's going to happen. Who's he going to fight is the thing, and how much money is he going to make? So word on the street is it could be Crawford and Tszyu going to Saudi. As far as Fundora, I don't know what he's going to do with his WBC belt if he faces Errol Spence. I don't know what he's going to do. Really don't give a shit. My thing is Crawford, Tszyu, and Saudi. And when you look at it, right, I personally think that, look, Fundora won the fight. It is what it is. He got the decision. Doesn't matter what I feel, what you feel. Fundora won. That's the fact. That's a fact. He won the fight. But at the same time, when an injustice has taken place. And when I look at Terence, Tszyu and what happened with him and Fundora, I don't know if it was inexperience on the part of his team, pride of Fundora, just being caught up in the big lights in the moment and not wanting to let fans down. But his whole situation could have been handled differently by Tim Tszyu, by his team, by the referee, by the doctors. Everyone seems to agree on that. But that being said, when you look at where we are now, the fact that is a strong possibility, Crawford and Tszyu to fight for the WBO strap in Saudi Arabia, I don't think Tim Tszyu has really lost anything, even though he has a loss on his record. And for Terence Crawford, he got to fight what I think he wanted anyway, was for him to fight Tim Tszyu. Now, Tim Tszyu, Fundora, Tim Tszyu's a much bigger name. Tim Tszyu has a much bigger following. Tim Tszyu and Crawford in Saudi, I truly believe some of them, a lot of those Australians, just like the guy, the people from the UK, I think they're going to follow him over there to Saudi. You're going to be hearing in that crowd, Ozzy, 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 oi, 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 more than you're going to be hearing Allahu Akbar and Inshallah and all the other things being said out there in Saudi. And I'm just being real. So if that fight happens, I don't know when, I don't know the kind of money that they're going to make. But you can't make me believe if Terence Crawford just came off of an Earl Spence fight where he made 20, 25 million, maybe more, right? But let's just say conservatively, Terence Crawford made about 25 million. I think 25 million, probably the sweet spot, right? I can't see him going out to Saudi, being two-time undisputed, being the pound-for-pound best boxer right now, right? And then going out there to fight Tim Tszyu, who brings a whole lot to the table, and they'll be fighting for a title. You can't make me believe that Crawford, who does have a relationship with key decision makers out there in the Middle East, it doesn't matter what you want to believe or not, Crawford has a relationship with key decision makers out there. I'm not saying he's hooked up with Kenahan or nothing like that. That's not what I'm saying. But he does have a relationship with people out there who can offer him a handsome amount of money and people who would want him out there. So it sounds to me that although people question Crawford's business savvy, it sounds to me like Crawford knows what the hell he's doing and he's handling business. But I would think Crawford's probably going to be making, at minimum, if he made 20, 25 million for Spence, throw another 10 million on top of that, especially with the position he holds now. You can't make me believe he's going to go out there and going to get paid the same or 2 or 3 million more than what he made for Spence. I just don't think that. I don't think that. And I think Turki Al-Sheikh appreciates Crawford and his accomplishments, and he'd be honored to have him come out there and fight. And I think Turki Al-Sheikh recognizes that Tim Tszyu was just in a bad spot in his whole situation with that fight with Fundora, and he's going to reward him handsomely as well. Now, there's some people out here saying, well, goddamn, how come Fundora's not getting the opportunity? Why Tim Tszyu, he lost? Because his team screwed him. Crawford reached out to Fundora first. I talked about that, but I know y'all can't watch every video. Crawford reached out directly to Fundora's team. They shot that down. Stupid. They shot it down. That's crazy to me. Why wouldn't you want to put Fundora in the ring with Crawford for the WBO and WBA strap? Now, I understand Fundora needing time to heal. I don't know exactly when Crawford's trying to get back in the ring. I know Crawford doesn't want to wait till November, December. But when you look at Fundora and Tim Tszyu, who's going to heal up quicker? You know, the cut on the top of Tim Tszyu's head or Fundora with that broken nose. You know what I'm saying? That cut on the top of the head is probably less threatening than having that nose broken like he experienced, like Fundora experienced. So, I mean, it only makes sense, in my opinion, for Crawford to go the Tszyu route. I'm sure he would have liked to, you know, kill two birds with one fight and pick up two straps, the WBO and WBC, but that's just not how it's working out. But that being said, what I'm telling you is not my opinion. What I'm telling you is this is something that's really in the talks. And it's playing out exactly like I said. Now, since we know what the hell could be happening with Tim Tszyu and Crawford, now we look at Fundora. Okay, so what about Earl Spence? You know, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes by July, August, where we at, April, May, June, July, need about a 12-week training camp, July, August. maybe by July, August, Fundora is healed up and good to go, and he and Earl Spence fight. We know there's mandatories, but we always know that, especially if, depending on who's involved, man, you know, whoever the mandatory is, those guys get paid a little step aside money, and they're okay to get paid to do nothing. You know, $1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, or whatever it is. So there's ways to work around that. But Fundora and Spence, I think, is a great fight. I just think Fundora beats Earl Spence. I know there's some people out here who are diehard Earl Spence fans. I like Earl Spence, but I'm just not so sure Earl Spence can handle Sebastian Fundora with that 10-inch reach, and Fundora putting that 10 inches all up in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not so sure that that's gonna go over well with Earl Spence. I think he's gonna struggle with it, and I think Fundora could bust him up because Earl Spence has so much scar tissue from the accident, and I think Earl Spence is gonna start swelling and start bleeding rather easily. And I think if I could end up at some point probably just being stopped based on the swelling of Earl Spence. Because Earl Spence isn't a slick fighter. He's not moving his head a whole lot to get out of the way of shots. He does have a pretty good defense, but he's there to be hit. He has a long reach, but I just don't think if Fundora fights anybody using his length and his reach advantage, I think Fundora is a problem for just about anyone, just because of the size of that guy. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, we got to wait and see how things play out. But I do feel now, like what I said like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Crawford and Tszyu are probably even closer to signing for that fight to happen. You figure May, June, July, around July, because you figure a 12-week training camp, and for time for Tim Tszyu to let that cut heal up. I'm thinking around the middle of the summer, you're going to see Crawford and Tszyu get it on in Saudi. Crawford get that money, man, that I think he deserves. And Tim Tszyu make a handsome payday, what I think he deserves. I think all fighters deserve to get paid, but I think Tim Tszyu deserves a really good payday, and I think Crawford surely deserves a good payday. Man, I would hope they gave Crawford $50 million. Get that man $50 million. Ain't nobody out here fighting in Saudi bringing the accolade that Crawford's bringing to the table. Get that man his $50 million. And let him sit back, man, and laugh all the way to the bank. Everybody who's pretty much just, tried to break him down and discredit him and ostracize and alienate and blackball him, you know what I'm saying? And the Crawford smear campaign. It's one thing to make jokes, which everybody has a sense of humor. Even these boxers do. When we do videos and clown on them, they can't help but laugh at some of it. But when people really go out their way to lie on them and intentionally try to bring them down, I think that shit is corny. But nonetheless, I ain't here to give a pity party for nobody. I'm just telling you how I feel. Terence Crawford, Tim Tszyu in Saudi, look like it's coming, man. We just had to sit back, keep our eyes peeled, and ears to the streets. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.